Shinichi is an ugly, lazy college student loner who skips his classes like a loser until one day, a big-plotted girl tries to raise him up and gets him to be cultured with her. The boy-looking girl with two massive plots, Hana, notices that Shinichi is always alone, and as she once knew him back in high school, she decides to become his friend to make him feel better and starts bothering him even though he just quite clearly wants to die alone.
You're just like me, for real.
She starts tagging along with him wherever he goes, from college to shopping malls and movie theaters, and over time, she figures out that he must be going to all of these places alone every day, making her laugh at the spectacle. He just digs the hole deeper for himself, solidifying the fact that he is indeed a pathetic loner. They leave the movie theaters together and stop by the electronics store, where Hana invites Shinichi to relax with her on a massage chair. And as the chair begins to vibrate, it hits the right spot, causing her to make happy noises and making her show the true definition of jiggle physics. Witnessing everything firsthand, Shinichi fails to last even 5 minutes with her, and so he takes her away from there before her dumbass can activate his secret sausage. They try out a VR apps game next, and when doing so, Hana succeeds in annoying Shinichi by playing like an absolute newbie, but her foolish antics get easily underwhelmed by Shinichi himself, who instead of grabbing a jellyfish, holds Hana's jellyfish. Hana, of course, doesn't let him know that what he just felt was the pillow made in heaven. Eventually, both of them head to an indoor baseball practice grounds, where Hana almost breaks her back while trying to swing the bat. To make her feel better, Shinichi treats her to a delicious dinner, where she doesn't miss the chance to eat all of his share as well, annoying him to the maximum capacity. The following day at college, Hana thanks Shinichi for hanging out with her earlier and again comes up with the same devious idea to tag along with him for today, making him wonder what made her change from a normal-looking introverted girl to this freaky melon boy. The following day, Shinichi reveals that he is not that lazy and actually works part-time at a coffee shop. Miss Shorty Hana very conveniently comes there to grab a coffee and insists on having a meal served by Shinichi, even though he clearly doesn't want her anywhere near his workplace. Just as he agrees to do so, Hana begins to act like a total Karen towards the poor loner part-timer, telling him to treat her with his utmost respect as a dutiful waiter. Shinichi doesn't complain, as he knows that he will get fired by his boss if he behaves rudely towards a customer, even if the customer is his friend, and treats her with proper respect, even when she clearly does not deserve it. Well, until she starts to mock him for talking in a nice manner. That's when Shinichi reaches his limit and kicks her out of the restaurant immediately. The cafe's manager takes everything as a joke and lets Shinichi take an early leave. Shinichi starts walking back home with Hana when she comes up with a great idea to work part-time at the cafe where he is working so that she can make his life a total living hell. But Shinichi makes it clear while smiling maniacally that if she even tries to pull off something like that, he will cut her melons, putting an end to that idea. The next day, while going to college, Hana finds Shinichi in the streets, failing to befriend a stray cat, which makes her wonder how pathetic someone can be to not be able to even pet a cat. So she comes up and shows him the ropes on how it is actually done by petting the cat perfectly. Hana tells Shinichi about her having 2 cats back at her home and invites the rather cultured protagonist to pet her cat, and also her secret cat hidden in the depths of her clothes. But rather than taking the opportunity, he gets upset over the fact that he cannot even pet a cat as the stray cat begins to leave. Hana notices that, and so to lighten Shinichi's mood, she takes an oath to make that stray cat Shinichi's own personal house cat. But as she starts chasing towards where the cat went, she ends up getting stuck inside a bush. And as Shinichi tries to help her get out, the pedestrian catches him doing what he is doing, and assuming the worst, they run away in fear, thinking he is a loose animal, leaving him to become completely embarrassed in himself. Hana shows up at the cafe again to annoy Shinichi, and this time she comes there with an actual valid reason. But before it, she first allures him by letting him feel her melons and then hands him her report card, begging him to help her improve her grades. Shinichi of course agrees, as he has now fallen under the trap card. But it seems Hana isn't happy even with that and convinces him to help her with her studies at his house instead of the cafe. The following day, an unexpected turn of events shows that Shinichi actually has a friend, a coworker named Amy who literally wants to eat his sausage. She also has a spying on others attribute, so she doesn't work at all and spends all of her time staring at others like Shinichi. But she gets away with it, as she is the daughter of the cafe's owner. Speaking of freaky women, Hana shows up at the cafe and makes Amy instantly realize that she must be Shinichi's love interest. Furthermore, from Amy's perspective, she finds Hana quite cute as well, not only because of her baby face but also because of her massive melons, which makes her realize that she is fighting a losing war with no way to win Shinichi's sausage. So she ends up not interfering in Hana and Shinichi's sussy business, and goes with her dad's advice to watch as things unfold slowly and surely. The next day, Hana learns from the cafe owner that Shinichi is seriously ill, so she goes to his house the next day immediately. Seeing how severe his situation is, she gets disappointed, as she thought she could have played some games with him if he hadn't been this ill. So she takes the initiative herself to fix his sickness, buys some medicines and healthy foods, and prepares a healthy meal for him. After taking care of him all day, including washing his body, Hana stays overnight to play games and annoys him like usual. Thanks to Hana's treatment, Shinichi recovers, and to repay her, he gives her a treat to a nice dinner along with his boss and Amy, as they were supportive as well. His boss subtly asks him if he intends to make a move on Hana soon, but Shinichi reveals to have no intentions to do so, claiming to be happy alone, which makes both his boss and Amy realize that he is indeed not only pathetic but also quite the professional loner. The vacation days come soon, and to utilize these days to the fullest, Shinichi starts to play online games all day and night mindlessly. Hana comes to his apartment unannounced again to annoy him like every other time, and takes him into the outside world to catch some virtual Pokemon in the rip-off Pokemon Go. Shinichi gets a sense of irritation in his eyes from playing too many games, so he goes to the nearby glasses store to get some glasses with Hana. There he comes across Amy, who helps him choose which glasses he should try on. Both Amy and Hana start treating Shinichi like their plaything doll, and make him wear the most ridiculous glasses to make jokes at his expense. After Hana feels like she is done with him, she returns with him on a crowded train, which ends up with her and him getting all touchy-touchy. Shinichi starts feeling soft, plump melons, but he doesn't want to trigger his sausage to activate, so he desperately pictures clear blue skies, ever-growing fields, and cold water in his mind to ease himself. Unfortunately, his overcommitment to not get excited causes him to black out completely, and as a result, he turns into a statue, letting him remain in his frozen state for the rest of the journey, which ends up in him landing on the last stoppage of the train. With the vacations coming to an end, Hana gets super bored and pitches another great idea to Shinichi, begging him to go on an outing by train or something. But because of what happened in the previous incident, he becomes all red and hesitantly agrees to experience that again. But their plan to go out backfires as it rains the whole day, so Hana comes to Shinichi's apartment instead to play games with him. But because of her drenching in rain, she takes a quick shower at his place, showing how comfortable she has become with him already, and then completely waste her day off with him by playing the classic Minecraft Meow version. The sweaty summer days begin soon after the rains, and to fully utilize them, Shinichi sleeps in all of his class and gets mocked by Hana afterwards for being such a pathetic loser. After classes, Shinichi runs into one of his good-looking classmates and his only friend Itsu, who is always busy trying to get away from chicks who are always chasing him. He tells Shinichi how he spent his entire vacation trying to get rid of all his side chicks and asks him if he did something interesting in his vacation time. Although all of the memories spent with Hana immediately click inside Shinichi's mind, he doesn't tell Itsu about them, as he himself isn't sure about his feelings at all. So he basically describes his vacation in a very boring manner, stating that he did nothing but play games, which infuriates Itsu as he wants his friend to do something wild in his life for once, advising him to find a girl. But he soon realizes that there is no reason to do so, as Hana appears there, and as she witnesses Shinichi having another friend than her, she becomes overjoyed by the fact that he is not a total loner and can socialize once in a while. Itsu finds out that Hana occasionally hangs out with him and comes to his house, which makes him think that Shinichi must be fooling around with Hana. To confirm his theory, he doesn't investigate at all and asks both of them straight up instead. Witnessing them freak out, he realizes that there is nothing romantic going on between them all because of the gloomy loner who clearly doesn't have the guts to make a move. Emi eavesdrops on them and confronts Itsu about him freaking them out earlier, telling him that if he does so, the two soon-to-be lovebirds will never be able to unite. She reveals to be rooting for both of them to become a couple, and as Itsu also wants the same, he offers to join together to come up with different ideas together to get Shinichi and Hana to get together. But Amy doesn't want to interfere at all, so she declines his offer immediately. In the meantime, Shinichi and Hana seem to be having a friendly meal outside when Hana reveals that she is actually a chocolate lover and gets completely triggered when Shinichi compares that flavor with toothpaste. She goes on a complete rant to justify why it is not the same as toothpaste, but no matter what logic he provides, Shinichi's taste buds do not change, so he just lets her go on with her useless frantic drama about chocolate mint. Shinichi reveals that he hasn't even tried chocolate mint once, meaning that all his criticism and all her ranting went to total waste. So to change his opinion on them, Hana asks him to try one and changes his mind as he claims that it's actually tasty. With both of them using the same sticks to eat the chocolate, they realize that they have kissed indirectly, which ends up both of them getting into a romantic tension, ending the day with both feeling extremely awkward. Sometime later, even though Shinichi had warned Miss Shorty way back to not try and ruin his peace by joining as a part-timer at his cafe, she does it anyway as she wants to enjoy himself at Shinichi's expense and wishes to see his dumb annoyed hater face as well. Moreover, she needs a job to get some fast cash as well, and that is why she ended up choosing this place, as not only are there no customers, but she also gets to annoy Shinichi as much as she wants. In any case, Shinichi shows the new waiter the ropes of how to become a perfect waiter, but instead of learning, Hana starts joking around just to infuriate Shinichi. She learns everything perfectly after getting serious, and later asks Shinichi, all working about his plans for the next summer break. Shinichi reveals that he has no plan but to waste his summer break by playing PC games, making her realize that he is truly hopeless. But she doesn't give up and forces her idea on him, telling him that they must go to a beach or a pool at least for one day. Otherwise, Mr. Loner's loner lifestyle will never change. Itsu comes there at the same time, very conveniently, and agrees with Hana's idea as well. So the very next weekend, the two just friends head to the beach to chill out along with Amy. Hana slightly reveals the terrifying wild beast she has been hiding all along under her shirt, and this terrifying sight scares Amy so much that she hesitates to go even near her. Meanwhile, Shinichi runs into the water at full tilt, and after swimming into the ocean for a while, he flexes his abs on the two girls. Amy takes him aside and tells him that he should always be beside Hana at the beach, as if he doesn't do so, not only will Hana feel lonely, but some random guy might hit on her and maybe even hit inside her. Of course, the cultured loner doesn't want that to happen, so he stops playing around alone and hangs out with her instead. Itsu comes there with a watermelon and comes up with a playful game, which is to bash the melon blindfolded. But as things escalate, Shinichi accidentally falls on top of Hana and bashes the wrong melons, wondering whether he is touching a jellyfish from that VR game again. As this is too embarrassing, no one says anything to him and lets him continue bashing the melons until he is left satisfied. As he eventually takes off his blindfold, he finds the real watermelon in front of him, which leaves him oblivious to the fact of what he has done. Later in the evening, the gang heads to Itsu's farmhouse near the beach to stay overnight. But before the sleepover, Itsu takes every one of them to the far back hill for a courage test. Shinichi chickens out immediately, realizing that they are going to play some horror game, but that only makes the situation worse as the devil Hana now knows its prey's weakness. And to get him to become even more scared, she snatches Shinichi's phone from him and runs off in the woods, forcing him to follow her in the darkness. Shinichi reaches his limit eventually and starts shivering in fear of the darkness, so the group calls it a night and gets back home. Hana comes to Shinichi's room to play games, but as she finds him sleeping, she comes close to his face to wake him up. But he, who is in a deep sleep, grabs her waist subconsciously and starts cuddling her. Hana tries pushing him away, but realizing that he is out cold, she lets him be like this just for tonight. The loner, who reveals himself to be a cat lover, takes Hana to a cat cafe as he is too scared to go there alone, and when they reach there, he gets too overjoyed after getting attention from just a cat. He thanks Hana for tagging along with him here and for every other time as well, and he asks her how he can repay her here. So Hana tells him to do something special on her upcoming 20th birthday. But seeing that Shinichi isn't even paying attention to her because of the cats, she starts torturing him like a mad woman, which ends up with both of them getting kicked out of the cat cafe. Shinichi remembers Hana's birthday later at the cafe and asks for Amy's and his boss's advice on what he should do on that date for her. His initial idea was to buy her flowers or a ring, but knowing that there is a huge possibility that she will just roast him for doing something so cliché, he wonders if there is any gift in the world that he can give Hana that won't end up being a disaster. So he ends up not choosing anything and starts procrastinating by walking around aimlessly. But it looks like he doesn't need to think about giving gifts at all, as Hana calls him in front of a pub and reveals that she just wants him to treat her here as her birthday present. They both, as their first shared experience, drink some traditional alcohol together. But Hana doesn't get happy with just that and orders everything on the menu to empty the loner's wallet to make his wallet a loner like him as well. After a while, Hana gets completely wasted, so Shinichi drags her back towards home. But once he realizes that his wallet is totally empty thanks to her, it means that they cannot go by cab or train. So he brings her back to his place and tries sleeping before her, so that she doesn't annoy him any longer. Drunk Shorty realizes that the protagonist is faking it, so she gets freaky and tries to kiss him as a joke to get him to wake up. And as she does so, she gets satisfied with her experiment and goes to sleep. The next morning, she finds herself in hell because she drinks too much and becomes so sick that she fails to get up from the bed and ruins her 20th birthday along with his bed by puking all over it. Once she gets sober, she gets filled with guilt, so she apologizes to him and even pays him for puking all over his apartment. He takes it before creating a scene in the street and goes back to his regular waiter duty at the cafe, where he gives Amy and the boss a recap of what happened at the pub, telling them that Hana has been really quiet after that incident. Amy assumes that Hana must be thinking that she must have done something unforgivable when she was drunk, and that is why she has increased the distance between them. But Shinichi doesn't want to get distant from her, so with his boss and Amy's guidance, he decides to go to the fireworks festival together with Hana to lighten her mood. He accordingly invites her there, and later in the evening, he finds her at the festival wearing a beautiful kimono. They spend the evening together on an unofficial date and enjoy the festival, but the awkwardness still remains as Hana still clearly looks upset. So to cheer her up, Shinichi compliments her kimono, her sandals, her hairpin, her bag, and everything else, which successfully brings her back to her usual egoistic, infuriating form. But he keeps on complimenting her too much, and to shut him up, she slaps him with her bag, which completely shakes the loner's pea-sized brain, knocking him out completely. While Shinichi is knocked out, he gets flashbacks to when he was just a formal acquaintance of Hana. She was then trying to become a professional swimmer back in high school and was always scolded by the then strict Shinichi, the back then high school athlete, who was not friendly at all. Yet he helped her become better at swimming and showed her the correct movements to use when swimming. One day after training, they started walking back towards home and came across the fireworks festival. Shinichi stopped there, treated Hana to some roasted corn, and showed that he was actually a softie. While eating together, they saw the fireworks show, and that became a memorable moment for the both of them. As Shinichi wakes up now, he finds himself under the shadows of the iconic melons of Hana, wondering if he has missed the fireworks show. Hana tells him not to worry, saying the show hasn't started yet, and apologizes to him for accidentally knocking him out. Shinichi takes a moment to recollect all of their memories together, and thanks her for giving him such a fun ride this year. But as the year hasn't ended yet, he tells him to keep accompanying him in his loner life, to which Hana agrees with a big smile. With that agreement, the beautiful fireworks show begins, but instead of watching the show, the two keep staring at each other while smiling. A few days later, Shinichi goes to Hana's place to return the money that she gave him a while back for puking all over his place, as she overpaid him too much. Hana's mom gets completely intimidated upon seeing him because of his scary glare, and so she instinctively increases the distance between them when talking, which only makes things get worse. Hana's mom gets into a misunderstanding thinking Shinichi is staring right at her melons as if Hana's aren't giant ones good enough for him when he is actually looking at her cat that is sitting on her lap. With that misunderstanding set up, she becomes wary of the uncultured protagonist. Another day, she goes to Hana's cafe one day to find out what kind of work her daughter is up to these days, and as she finds Shinichi working there as well, she gets intimidated yet again thinking all sorts of things. But the fear of him goes away when she learns from Amy that he is actually a very well-mannered boy. Sadly, the misunderstanding grows again as she hears a double-meaning conversation between Hana and Shinichi about coffee beans, where he claims to like to break the mature ones more than the small ones. Just like the mother, the daughter too gets into a misunderstanding, thinking that her unofficial boyfriend is into her mother. So she starts to ignore him completely out of jealousy. And when he apologizes to her even after not knowing what wrong he has done, she forgives him but ends up getting into a love quarrel with him anyway. A kid breaks up their fight, assuming that they are fighting over money, and hands them a lottery ticket, telling them to use it wisely. Knowing that nothing will happen, both Shinichi and Hana still give it a go, and as they cash the lottery in, they come out as the winners with the prize of a 3-night trip to Japan's famous tourist city Tottori. All four friends go to Tatori together, with Itsu paying for the extra budget, and first visit the sand dunes, where a couple takes a rather cute picture together in front of Shinichi and Hana. Then they visit Tatori's round building, which is now turned into a museum, where the same couple takes pictures together all over the place. Seeing the couple having the time of their lives, both Shinichi and Hana eventually become jealous and go to a shrine to pray for a good future and a good partner. The shrine offers fortune notes, and after picking one, Hana gets one with great luck in finding one, and after reading the details on it, she finds out that all of it resembles her loner senpai Shinichi, making her wonder what's going on. Shinichi realizes that the shrine isn't religious at all, but a linking place to concrete the love between the couples. Not only that, according to Itsu and Amy, the entire Tatori is made to be the lovers' grounds, meaning that all this time, both Shinichi and Hana were looking and acting like total couples publicly. But neither of them accepts it, and so they end their entire trip in total denial. A few days later, Hana comes to Shinichi's place yet again to hang out, and makes a total mess there as she starts treating the place as her own home. So Shinichi makes her clean up the trash as she has thrown around everywhere. And once everything is nice and tidy again, he starts lecturing her about discipline. But once Hana reveals her noble intentions to cook the loner a nice lunch, he lets her do whatever she wishes to and apologizes to her for jumping to conclusions. A new issue arises later at the cafe as the chef has gone missing, so Shinichi, Hana, and her mom take on the responsibility of cooking the food in the meantime at Hana's house. Hana's misunderstanding mother again starts to think that her daughter's friend wants to have her, which leaves her wondering whether she should accept the fact that she is a cougar. While she is busy with her own delusional thoughts, Shinichi and Hana go to a rock climbing practice place to increase their core strength and get into an argument over there as well about who is weaker than the other. In the end, Shinichi shows himself to be stronger, making Hana feel quite proud of him. Later at night, Shinichi tries to sing some songs at his house in private, when his two freaky friends, Amy and Hana, barge in there to hear him singing. They both realize that they shouldn't have invaded his privacy, so to make it up to him, they'd offer him some actual temptation service, wearing all sorts of revealing costumes at a pub and leave him all flustered. The next rainy day, Hana comes to his apartment, and with tears in her eyes and heavy heart, not because of the melons, she tells him that they can no longer hang out anymore. Shinichi doesn't understand what's going on, but promises to do anything to make it up to her if he has unknowingly done anything wrong. But Hana reveals that she actually intentionally lied about not being able to hang out, as she wanted him to do her homework in her stead. And because he has already given her the promise, he doesn't go back on his word and reluctantly agrees to do so. Later at the cafe, Amy subtly asks Hana about her first meeting with Shinichi, and learns that when they were in high school, Hana went to become a swimmer. She first saw him on the swimming team with his fierce eyes, which made her want to quit swimming initially. But over time, she realized that beneath those fierce eyes, he was actually a sweet person, and that made her like him. Amy only hears the part where Hana liked him, and when she asks her about it, Hana claims to have never said such a thing and runs away as fast as a horse. She goes to Shinichi's apartment again at night to cook him dinner, but she reveals her real intention to get him drunk, as she has never seen the drunk version of the loner. After successfully luring him into drinking a lot of wine, she takes him to a corner and starts playing around with him. Unlike everyone else, Shinichi gives her his honest opinion and accidentally utters the word love, which itself gets her so flustered that she drinks a lot of beer herself and unknowingly sleeps on the same bed as him. With neither of them sure how to tackle the situation, they decide to fix it with their usual solution, which is to remain in denial and keep on being just friends who are just going to casually hang out with each other for the rest of their lives. Will these two blockheads ever progress with their relationship? Comment melons if you want us to make a part 2. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.